the weekly show with David J. Maloney.
This week, David chats with the Tiger King himself, Joe Exotic.
And now, here's your host, David J. Maloney.
Welcome, everyone, to the weekly show. I'm your host, David J. Maloney. On tonight's show, we've got the next part of my interview with Joe Exotic. Joe came into the national spotlight with the smash success of the Netflix documentary, The Tiger King. In some ways, he's a Hollywood screenwriter's midnight creation, but on our show tonight, he's keeping it completely real. Back again with us tonight by phone from jail is none other than the Tiger King himself, Joe Exotic. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. I've talked with defense lawyers before, and they'll tell you the second you bring an animal into the equation, the case becomes pretty much holy hell for everyone involved. I mean, you'll get more public outcry over it than you would a person being killed, frankly.
Oh, you will.
Yeah. So.
You will, but people have to understand that everything has to die. Okay, even us. Okay, animals only live a very short time on this planet. They don't live to be 40 and 80 years old like people do. Okay, a tiger should have died between 14 and 16 years. I kept these tigers alive for 23 years. Okay, and actually probably 5 years longer than I should have because they were crippled, and I made them stay alive being crippled. So I had two options to face: PETA and the Humane Society in Carroll trying to get me arrested for animal cruelty for making these animals stay alive, or putting them to sleep and facing the music for putting them to sleep. There's no winning. You're right. There's no winning in an animal case. Okay, but let me tell the world, I'm not ashamed of what I did. I put them down the fastest way humanly possible, no pain. I buried them respectfully, and I would do it again tomorrow if I had to.
Do you think there's evidence that should have been shown that wasn't?
Oh, there's tons of evidence that should have been shown that wasn't. First of all, they claim that they dug up 5 tigers, but we have evidence now with videotape that they took while they were digging them up and while they were cleaning those heads, that somehow or another they threw an extra head in that mix. So was I tried by the 5 tigers I buried, or was I tried by another tiger head that they came up with? Because during my trial, they tried to say that I shot 4 and I beat 1 with blunt objects, which is absolutely absurd. There's a ton of evidence that should have been played and dug up while I was on trial. It was to get it done fast. The public defenders didn't want to mess with it. They kept trying to get me to make a plea deal. I didn't do anything wrong, so I didn't accept the plea deal. I only started with 1 charge. And the minute I asked for a fair trial like the Constitution says I could, they charged me with 20 more charges.
You mentioned solitary before, and this wasn't a question I was planning on asking, but since you brought it up, and I myself haven't had the opportunity to speak with many people who've been in solitary. You were in solitary for a long time, like 2.5 years. What does that do to you? How does that affect you mentally?
Let me tell you, I've seen people kill themselves. I, myself, you can see the bloody pictures on all of my social media. I have been stripped naked and tied to chairs and put in showers with the lights off for so long that the skin came off my arms from the straps. I will never be the same. I will never respect the United States of America like I used to, because this is wrong. And every interview that I ever do, I have to throw Russia in there, and I have to throw Brittany Griner and Paul Whelan and Trevor Reed in there. Because in Russia, you never one time saw them in court other than in their street clothes, and they were never shackled at their ankles, and they were never belly chained around their waist. They were always in just handcuffs and their own clothes. In America, you're in a jumpsuit, and you are shackled and tied up like a monkey in a parade, and you are made to be guilty from the minute you hit that courtroom. So America has nothing but to be ashamed of themselves. I spent 5 months next to Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, and he hung himself. He killed himself. I seen a 21-year-old kid named Justin Teo in a federal holdover in Oklahoma, and it's on Channel 9 News' website in Oklahoma City, how they beat that kid, and then they locked him in the exact same shower they locked me into, except they threw him a towel, and he hung himself. And he was on his way home. Our president of this country should be ashamed of himself.
How did you mentally cope with that? Where did you find the strength from to not do the things that those other two people did?
Hey, I poked a hole in a potato chip bag, and I kept my medicine in a bag for. I overdosed twice, and if I could have had the balls to hang myself, I would have done that. What drives me now is the fight to get out of here, and the fight. I want to testify in front of Congress, and David. And this is something maybe I need to hook you up with my people on the outside. It's no secret I've been caught with 2 cell phones in federal prison. And for the last 3 years, I have documented more shit that Congress would just, I don't know if they would believe it or if they already know and they just don't want to accept it. And I have documentation of the mold, the algae that we live in, the food that we have to eat, the expired food that we have to eat, and the staff stealing and people sitting around shooting up all day long. This is a joke. The money that the taxpayers are paying for incarcerated people in this country is going somewhere. And if you Google Keefy products, you'll see that the Bushes are the ones profiting the most from prison. Bob Barker and the Bushes.
Let's talk about the music trademark lawsuit you filed, which has kind of led to your return to Florida for the time being. Tell us about that and what happened and why did you sue?
Okay, well, back in 2013, I hired a guy named Vince Johnson to help co-write 6 songs. Okay, I paid him dearly. He sold me his rights. He signed $1 million confidentiality agreement because at that time I wasn't planning on doing anything with my music. It was all about writing songs about the sick people that I granted wishes for that died, okay, and being gay. That's all my music was supposed to be about. Then I did a total of 26 songs on my own without him. Okay, well, again, Joe's in solitary confinement. Nobody can get a hold of him. Netflix is out there dying to make a movie and capitalize off of making Joe out to be this bad guy. And they needed somebody to sign a contract so they could use my music. So they got a hold of Vince Johnson, and the only way they did that was through Jeff Lowe. And them is the only people who know Vince Johnson was even involved. Okay, so they get a hold of Vince Johnson, and Vince Johnson signs over the rights to Netflix for a very large paycheck. And then he gets on the news and takes the opportunity to just claim all of my music as his. And he's the one singing, and he's the one that produced them, and he did everything. While Joe's in solitary confinement, he gets a record deal and $200,000 from BMG and Create and all these other big record companies off of that he had nothing to do with. So Joe wants to start taking his life back a little bit at a time. So I filed a copyright and trademark and breach of confidentiality contract against this man. And I'm taking him to court just like Carol Baskin did me. And I'm going to show him how it is to live with $1 million judgment on your head for taking advantage of me and trying to convince the world that that's not my music, that's his music. And I'm just sick of rats, man. After Jeff Lowe stealing my zoo, Vince Johnson stealing my music, my husband at the time signing the contract with Netflix and running off with $2.6 million and selling my clothes to a museum in Las Vegas and leaving me here with nothing. and then everybody on the internet selling T-shirts and socks and shoes and you name it, making money off of Joe Exotic, while Joe Exotic suffers in solitary confinement and being treated like a river rat. I'm done. I'm taking some of my life back. And the worst part is Carol Baskin, but I don't want to discuss that on this call because I'm hoping to one day file a lawsuit against her for what she did to my zoo.
Are you still creating music now, even after everything that's happened in your life?
You know what? I sit in here and I try and write songs, and I can't because of the trauma right now and the way I live. And so I haven't. We have bands at prison, and I do a little playing around with the bands, at the prison. But have I seriously? No. I'm just so pissed off with what the government has done to me that I can't even get past writer's block.
So you said you're grabbing your life back one bit at a time. What is it that you want most from the rest of your life at this point?
I want my freedom. The government has the evidence that I'm innocent, and the Department of Justice has everything they need to prosecute people for perjury and the crimes they were committing during this whole setup. I want my freedom back.
A question I should have asked earlier, but it just occurred to me now. Why were you in solitary to begin with?
To keep me from building a case. I am a political prisoner, David, in America. This is about the Big Cat Safety Act, is all this is about. They nicknamed that bill the Tiger King bill the minute I got arrested. I fought that bill for 11 years, keeping it from passing. As soon as they arrested me, they kept me in solitary confinement so I couldn't build my own case, I couldn't defend myself, and I couldn't fight this bill. And it passed, and President Biden signed it into law. And the only people that are in America that are allowed to have cats is Carol's Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries and Dan Ash's American Zoological Association. They created an illegal monopoly for two nonprofits to own big cats in America.
So a few hours ago, before we started recording this interview, it was announced that Return of the Tiger King is going to be filmed. What is hoping to be expected with this next with this installment?
Okay, well, it's going to show the truth before, during, and after my trial, because we're gonna interview people without paying them. To tell the real story and the true story, especially the people that were refused to be able to testify. They weren't allowed to testify. Okay, and then it's going to show everything that's going on in the prison. And this is not going to be an Orange is the New Black where everything's made up. Whoop. This is Joe documented everything in prison. Okay, and sent it out to the world in safekeeping. And then in hopes it's going to be of me getting out of here. And moving on with my life and telling the rest of what needs to be told.
Do you see yourself maybe moving in a direction for like prisoner advocacy and things like that?
Oh, absolutely. My goal is to testify in front of Congress. And if I make it out of here alive, I'm not going to just ride off into the sunset like all the other prisoners do. Oh yeah, you're not going to see the end of me, because I'm coming back for the respect of people being treated like human beings to the other 165,000 people currently in federal prison.
Is there anything that, I mean, you've been covered so many different ways by so many different people, and like you said, the media sometimes has a way of taking things and twisting things, and is there anything that you want people to know, if you've got the opportunity to kind of say it about you that they haven't either already heard before, or maybe somebody took and twisted and got it wrong? Is there anything, I mean, having an opportunity to put it out there, is there anything that you would like to add or share?
There's several things. One that I hear a lot of is people say, stardom and money got the best of me. Let me tell you something. I ate out of that meat truck right along with my animals because I was so broke-ass poor, because I spent every dime taking care of those animals and building them the best habitats I could possibly build. So money was not an object in any of this because I couldn't afford shit. I was broke. I came to prison broke. I spent, and my YouTube channel, Joe Exotic TV, will show you the truth. I spent my entire life, especially at that zoo, opening that zoo on Christmas and Thanksgiving and cooking dinner for people that had nowhere to go. Then I would fill the car full of meals and drive to Oklahoma City and hand them out to the people sleeping on the streets. And then Easter, I did 10,000 egg Easter egg hunts for kids that had nowhere to go. Christmas time, we did Tigers for Tots with the motorcycle gangs to deliver toys. I had the Animal Miracle Network where I granted last wishes for dying people. Dude, they did not portray me at all in just the charity work I did alone, and gave everything I had back to people that were dying and had nothing. So educate yourself before you start bashing me on the internet or anything else. It's all on my YouTube channel. It's all on joeexoticofficial.com, the evidence of the truth and the phone recordings that we now have off of their own phones. And I would just like people to respect me for being a human being and trying my best. I made it 55 years without a speeding ticket, and I'm in jail for the rest of my life for nothing.
Where did you learn what you needed to learn to get involved with these animals? That was something that probably I should have asked earlier, but it occurred to me while you were talking about it. You know, usually I kind of start off at the beginning asking a question like that. Where did you first learn? What got you into the whole animal thing to begin with?
You know, people ask me that all the time. And it started when I was a police chief. You know, I drove my car into a bridge to kill myself because of being gay and my dad making me shake his hand and promise never to come to his funeral. That tipped the scale. Then when I got out of the hospital and I went to rehab, I went to West Palm Beach, Florida, and my neighbor worked at Lion Country Safari and brought home all the baby lions and monkeys and stuff at night to take care of. And that's where I kind of got the addiction of exotic animals. Then I moved on to the pet store, and we had small exotic animals there. Then when my brother died, I wanted to open a sanctuary to rescue big exotic animals. And honestly, God gave me a gift, okay, because I knew nothing about tigers. I never even seen a tiger until I rescued my first 2 tigers. And I locked myself in a cage with them to clean their cage. And these were adult tigers that I had no idea who they were. Never got hurt. Got them up to health. One day I walked out there and there were 6 babies in the house. That was my first work with baby tigers. And I learned as I went from my peers, you know, and that was people like Steve Irwin and people that worked at the Oklahoma City Zoo and everything else. And I have to give credit to those people because they taught me just about everything I knew, and then I learned everything else on my own. And I got to where our protocols with our veterinarian, she authorized me to do my own sutures and my own minor operations and neutering and of animals and stuff like that because I grew and I learned so much hands-on that she knew I could do it on my own with just a phone call or FaceTiming her while I was doing it. So I should have died many times. I never got hurt by one of my cats, never. And I walked in a cage and I laid on the ground with 20 full-grown tigers and lions at a time. And that's part of why Jeff and James hated me so much, other than me being gay, is they couldn't do it and I could.
You were going through some of the things that you wanted kind of people to know. Was there anything else that, because I kind of got you sidetracked there for a second.
You know, I'm a nice guy. You know, whether you agree with my lifestyle of who I choose to marry and fall in love with is beside the point. I do good work. I help a lot of people. I still do that in here. I run a soup kitchen in prison for the people that have no families on the outside to help them. And I'm never going to stop. I can get out of here and I could become a millionaire, and I'm still going to help the needy and the people that need help. And on that note, I am probably, I don't know really how famous I am. I know I'm pretty famous because of the mail I get. They bring it to me in Walmart bags. And since I've been here at Santa Rosa County, I've had FaceTime on this video machine from Scotland and Ireland and Australia and the United Kingdom, all over the world. And I can promise you that I'm probably one of the only celebrities that gives my supporters and my fans the time of day to acknowledge that they're human beings and they are my supporters and my fans, because I answer every email, I answer every letter, and I answer every video machine now that I can actually video chat. So I want to say thank you for the support and the people who believe in me. But it's a long way. We got a long way to go to save my life. I've fought prostate cancer, and now they tell me that I have lung cancer. We've been dealing with PET scans and CAT scans and X-rays. Now I have to go through biopsies to determine the guarantee of lung cancer. So I just need some help, and I don't need your money necessarily. I need your voice, and that is to put free Joe Exotic in every comment that you ever see Donald Trump and President Biden make until we correct this.
Have they staged it? I mean, have you had a PET scan yet, and have they used that to stage it?
I had the PET scan on a Friday, and they shipped me here on a Monday. So I have not been able to discuss with my doctors the results of the PET scan. Yeah. But it showed up on an X-ray, and it showed up on a CAT scan. That's why they did the PET scan.
Got it. Yeah, and here you are wanting to know what your stage is, and you can't find out.
And it really, David, at this point in time, it doesn't matter to me, because I'm not going to go through treatment, because being locked at the prison hospital in North Carolina, where they treat you for cancer, they keep you in solitary confinement. No TV, no radio, no nothing, no visitors, no nothing. And I puked and I bled for a year on prostate cancer. And I'm not going to do it for lung cancer. So I've signed my DNR and my advance directive and my refusal of treatment, and I will take my chances to make it out of here and get help out in the real world, because I watched too many people die in the feds from them not caring and the over-treatment of chemo in here, and I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it.
Understood.
I need help getting out of here before I die in here.
Thank you for joining us. I know that the prison phone is going to cut us off any second.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Tell everybody around the world I love them. All right?
That's our show for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, everyone.